Welcome to Ben on Breaking News. I'm Ben Meiselas, and this is Breaking News. Breaking moments ago, Donald Trump was aboard Air Force One, and he wished the former Prince Andrew's never a prince at all, Andrew Montbatten. He goes, basically what Trump used to say about Ghislaine Maxwell. I wish her well, Donald Trump said about Andrew and the royal family. I feel bad for them. I feel so bad for what they're going through. It's very tough. It's very tough. How about the survivors? How about you feel bad for the survivors? How about that? Here's what Donald Trump said moments ago aboard Air Force One. Let's play it.
That was not a good one, Peter. What do you think?
I got a question about something big overseas today. The former Prince Andrew arrested by the police there, related to something with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think people in this country at some point, associates of Jeffrey Epstein, will wind up in handcuffs too?
Well, I'm the expert in a way because I've been totally exonerated. That's very nice. So I can actually speak about it very nicely. I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing. When I see that, it's a very sad thing to see it and to see what's going on with his brother, who's obviously coming to our country very soon, and he's a fantastic man, the king. So I think it's a very sad thing. It's really interesting because nobody used to speak about Epstein when he was alive, but now they speak. But I'm the one that can talk about it because I've been totally exonerated. I did nothing. In fact, the opposite. He was against me. He was fighting me in the election, which I just found out through the last 3 million pages of documents. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
You said today on Iran, bad things will happen.
Oh, that's interesting because we learned in the documents that dropped that your name appears over 38,000 times in some of the most disgusting and grotesque ways. We've learned that there's potentially 50 terabytes more of documents that have not yet been produced, potentially hundreds of millions of documents, and that your name appears millions of times purportedly on some of these other documents as well. We've seen very serious allegations that were leveled against you, but were never, ever investigated. We know that one of the accusers as well was interviewed by the FBI on 4 separate occasions. Now, Roger Solenberger did a great reporting on that as well. We know that, remember the handwriting expert that the FBI sent the Jeffrey Epstein letter where Epstein sent a letter to Larry Nassar, convicted sex offender Larry Nassar. And then they talked, and in the letter, Epstein was like saying, all these things about Donald Trump as well. And remember how the FBI was like, oh, well, we hereby declare. The MeidasTouch was the first to report that, by the way. I'll just read you what the letter says. This was from Epstein to Larry Nassar. And this was right around Epstein's death, which we know by now was likely, almost certainly, not by suicide. Dear LN, Larry Nassar, as you know by now, I've taken the short route home. Good luck. We shared one thing, our love of caring for young ladies at the hope they'd reach their full potential. Our president shares our love of young, nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair. Yours, J. Epstein. And this letter was then returned to sender. We actually have the FBI report now, and the forensics were actually inconclusive. Meaningful handwriting comparisons could not be conducted between question items 4 and 5. Isn't that the thing with all the Epstein files? When it came to what the CIA said in response to public records requests from Epstein, or the National Security Advisors team said in response to public records requests, we can neither confirm nor deny. We can't produce anything because information may be classified. We can't turn anything over. But you certainly, Donald, were not exonerated by those files. I mean, do you realize how insane you sound? You probably don't, because you are walking insanity. But when you say you are exonerated by those files, I mean, those files that were produced could not be more damaging. Or how about by your own words that Donald Trump has said he grabs women by their genitals because he's rich and you get away with it. He's on tape saying those words, and that he inspects girls naked at his beauty pageants. Because when you run the beauty pageants, You get to be the inspector and non-consensually sexually assault and harass girls, apparently, is what Donald Trump's. How despicable of things like that for you to say those things. I mean, those are things that you've said. You've said the most disgusting thing about your own daughter. We have you on tape saying these things. You've been found civilly liable for sexual assault. But I digress. Yesterday, of course, by now, Les Wexner was deposed, 88 years old now. He was the guy who was basically the money man for Epstein. He apparently gave Epstein $1 billion. Doesn't know why he did it. Like, we'll post his full deposition here on the MeidasTouch network. You should watch this deposition. I watched the full 5 hours. The guy's like, well, why'd you give him $5 billion? Like, why'd you give him $1 billion? Like, why would you do that? He tricked me. He was very cunning. So you gave him $1 billion. Why would you have a guy who's not a money manager be your money manager and run all of your money when he never had that? He's very tricky. He's a very, very tricky guy. Did you see Donald Trump and Epstein in rooms together? Maybe like at the Victoria's Secret events that I ran, and Wexner's company was the parent company of Victoria's Secret. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know this. I don't recall this. By the way, not a single Republican Congress member showed up to Les Wexner's deposition. Not a one. Just think about that. They were too busy. They didn't want to even give credence to it, so none of them showed up. They've been ordered by Trump and MAGA Mike. Do not pursue this investigation. As I said before, there shouldn't be a Democrat, Republican, independent issue. There are so many issues right now that we've been fraudulently led to believe are political issues when they're moral issues. And I think the American people are waking up to that. The cover-up of this child sex trafficking, that should not be a political issue. It should not be. It is a moral, ethical, crimes against humanity issue, which, by the way, independent experts at the United Nations are calling what they've seen in the Epstein files crimes against humanity. But I didn't need experts to tell me that. I read it. You've read it. We've all looked at it. We've discussed the files, and it's disgusting what's taking place. Disgusting. And it's disgusting that Republicans are saying, we don't care about this. And that Trump's saying he feels bad for the royal family. But that's just in keeping with who he is. He cares about royalty while royally screwing over everybody else. Yeah, that's Andrew. That's that crook right there. That's that despicable sicko who had everything in life, had all of the drapings or whatever of wealth and success, and had it all handed to him, just like Donald, on a silver platter, and utilized it to do sick things to little girls. This could be despicable. Despicable people. Anyway, at the deposition yesterday of Les Wexner, no Republican showed up. Congressmember Garcia, Robert Garcia, is the ranking Democratic member from the House Oversight Committee. The Democrats showed up. And I'm not saying that in a political way. They literally showed up. They were there asking questions because they're taking this investigation seriously. And again, I know you watching this, regardless of what political party you're from, you're taking this seriously. This is serious stuff. Well, here's what Garcia had to say. Here, play this clip.
It's about $1 billion that was either transferred, provided in stocks, or given directly to Mr. Epstein by Wexner. We should be very clear that the two were very close per reporting. They spent a lot of time together. Mr. Wexner admitted that he traveled to both Epstein's island as well as his other properties. Mr. Wexner also admitted that Jeffrey Epstein had access to a lot of Mr. Wexner's wealth. And when asked even simple questions, even as it relates to Mr. Epstein being the co-president of the foundation that established the area that we're in today, Mr. Wexner had little to say. In fact, it's clear that Mr. Wexner is trying to downplay how close Jeffrey Epstein and Mr. Wexner actually were. And we should be very clear that there would be no Epstein Island, there'd be no Epstein plane, there'd be no money to traffic women and girls. Mr. Epstein would not be the wealthy man he was without the support of Les Wexner. I think it's very important for us to note at this moment.
I think it's also important to note what the hell is going on with that New Mexico ranch of Epstein, Zorro Ranch, as it was called. Now it's called San Rafael. It was purchased by a big Trump supporter back in 2023 using an LLC to purchase it. The Trump supporter is someone by the name of Don Huffines. He's a former Texas state senator, someone who went to Moscow in 2018 to try to improve relations with Vladimir Putin back then. Don Huffines' son, Russell Huffines, works in the Trump administration in a pretty significant position there. The Huffines made their money a few generations back in the automobile industry. Their great-grandfather opened up one of the first auto dealerships in the area. So this family comes from a lot of money. They decided to buy Epstein's property back in 2023. We've seen from the Epstein files allegations that there are bodies buried there, just allegations, but there are bodies buried there. We know that that was the site of torture, of trafficking by Epstein and Ghislaine, but that site was never subject to subpoena or search warrants or any investigation by the feds. When the local New Mexico Attorney General's office said they were going to be investigating it, the Fed said, don't do it. Shortly after, or right around the arrest of Epstein, and then shortly after Epstein died. So fortunately now, I guess better late than never, but sometimes late is a problem and is fatal. But there's a truth commission that was just launched by the New Mexico legislature, a unanimous vote to create this truth commission. So they want to start investigating the Zorro Ranch, Epstein's ranch that Epstein had from 1993 until the time of his death. He would fly in there with helicopter with young girls who he said were masseuses. There needs to be an investigation there. There is an investigation there. But now we learn from the owner of the new owner of the Zorro Ranch, Don Huffines, that the property, it's already under construction, y'all. It's already under construction. They're going to turn it into a children's Christian retreat. They're turning Zorro Ranch into a Christian retreat for children. So there's already bulldozers and what do you know? What do you know, folks? Don't trust me. Listen to Don Huffines with Matt Gaetz. Yeah, Matt Gaetz interview Don Huffines. Gaetz, who was found by the House Ethics Committee to more likely than not have engaged in underage sex, is interviewing Huffines about turning Epstein's ranch into a Christian retreat for children. Play the clip.
Now you have plans to take something evil and bring it into goodness, bring it into light and positivity. Tell us about that plan.
Well, of course, that is the main reason I bought the property. This was obviously a dark place, and we wanted to put light in a dark place. It always shines the brightest when you do that. My faith is so strong in Jesus, and it really is. And I'm going to make this, the plan all along is to make this property into a Christian retreat. As a matter of fact, it's under construction today. And that's our goal. That's why we named it San Rafael. We named it Saint Raphael, as you probably know, an archangel, and his what he does and helps people with is healing and being the healer, and also blessing those that are traveling. And we think that's really germane to this property.
Yeah, I bought the property because I said, let me find the worst location for that sex trafficking. Let me find it. And I said, find me the worst location. And I bought it because I wanted to turn it into a place for the kiddies, for the retreat for God. I called San Rafael Jesus. I did this for Jesus. In other words, this is Jesus and the archangel San Rafael. You may not know San Rafael, Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz, you're the perfect person for me to be talking to about this, Matty. You understand what I'm doing here? I said, how do I turn Epstein, Zorro? And you know what? I wanted to do it in such a way that I created a shell vehicle called San Rafael LLC. And you see, I purchased it with an LLC because I, of course, wanted everybody to know that it was me. Otherwise, I did that. And then I said, how are we going to make it? How can we get more children there? And it's under construction today. And I'm doing interviews now about it today. On the same day that they announced the Truth Commission, it's under construction now. And they're bulldozers that, San Rafael, Jesus, amen, amen. I mean, like, they just think we're stupid. That's the thing to me, is that these people, like, literally think you're dumb and that we're dumb. Like, that's one of the things that, like, you think you're smart. Like, they think that they're smart right there. Like, you got me. Okay. You're doing it for the kiddos. You're building a Christian retreat. We're sure about that. Like, you just think we're stupid. And they treat us like we're stupid. They enact policies that destroy us because they think we're stupid. And you know what? They've convinced a lot of people to vote for this crap. And maybe they believe, you see, I guess if we get them to vote for us, let's just keep on doing this over and over and over and over again. Not that way anymore. People are waking up. People are waking up to this crap. What is that? It's just interesting, right? Because you have Andrew getting arrested. Good, right? They did what, Trump should get arrested. I mean, Trump should be thrown in jail. All these people, in my opinion. Howard Lutnick should be investigated. This whole cabal is in our freaking White House. These leeches. These rodents, these sickos are in the White House. I'm not saying in a political way. I mean, the cabal it's objective, undisputed. They're in the Oval Office, like literally pedo protectors, sick people. I don't even know how a new administrator, I don't even know how you go into like the White House is basically the Zorro Ranch, right? Like, I don't know. You become the next president. If I were to run for president, which I'm not going to, and I won in 2028, I would not want to. I don't think I'd want to be in the White House. Like, I think I would need 6 months of fumigation of a lot of things that need to go down before I would feel comfortable living in that gross and disgusting cesspool. Like, I think that's just mad. But so in the United States, our Supreme Court creates a made up fake doctrine. It's not in the Constitution, called absolute immunity to protect Donald Trump because we have a right-wing fascist Supreme Court. Our entire Constitution was created as a rejection of absolute immunity. It was a response to monarchy, saying we don't want kings. So if you want to approach this from an originalist interpretation, a strict textualist interpretation, whatever framework you want to build to try to analyze the Constitution, it was no kings. That's the main theme of our Declaration of Independence, to our Constitution, for our nation's founding, is no absolute immunity. But my point is, even where there are kings, even in the UK, where there's a royal family, they don't have the doctrine that our Supreme Court created to help Donald Trump. Just think about that. Even in the UK, they're like, you know what? You're no longer a prince. You're just Andrew, and you get arrested. Show the photo of Andrew one more time there, Jeremy, so we can see what Andrew looks like. Yeah, that's what Trump should look like. That's what Howard Lutnick should look like. That's what Pam Bondi should look like. That's what Pete Hegseth should look like. That's what RFK Jr. should look like. Instead, do we have this photo of Hegseth and Dr. Oz? They were on a play date. They're on a play date today, everybody. As the United States is very close to war with Iran, they're climbing trees, everybody. Here's Dr. Oz and Pete Hegseth on their play date. They're posting these photos of them as we have two aircraft carrier groups right by Iran. For those who are listening just on audio, I'm showing you the visual right now of the amount of American forces that are in an armada right now. No one's making the case to the American people why we should be in war with Iran, why a long-term war with them is in our interest. It isn't. Donald Trump did promise he was going to help the protesters. Remember when he said that, go out, protest, keep protesting, I got your back. Well, you didn't have their back, so that's done. They all got massacred. Thousands of protesters got massacred. Then you bragged about stopping a hanging of 800 protesters. There's nothing to brag about. I stopped the hanging of 800. Good, but you caused thousands to be killed. But I guess our media is too busy reporting on the fact that Donald Trump directly led to the deaths of thousands of Iranians who he told to go out and protest. And he's saying he's got their back. They've been massacred. And now, months later, we have an armada off the coast of Iran to put our own troops now in peril, to put American lives and treasury at risk, and treasury and lives of the others in the region at risk. This is what we're going with. But I digress. South Korea, their former insurrectionist president, sentenced to life in prison today. Life. That's how they deal with it in countries. When you have insurrections, they don't invent absolute immunity doctrines. Okay, they throw you in prison, just like Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil. Prison for 27 years, as Scott Shapiro goes. In UK, Prince Andrew arrested. South Korea, former President Yoon sentenced for life. In Brazil, former President Jair Bolsonaro serving a 20-year sentence. 27-year sentence. In the United States, Donald Trump sues the government for $10 billion, and the taxpayers have to fork over $10 billion to Donald Trump for filing a frivolous lawsuit against his own IRS. He builds golden ballrooms. It just goes to show you that our country is sick. And it is the Epstein class on the Supreme Court. Epstein class. I mean, just think about the corruption there, right? Those right-wing Supreme Court justices flying around the country on private jets and yachts and all of these trips, getting millions of dollars from Epstein class people. We're paying them to make rulings. And again, they dress themselves up and they act like they're superior to us, and they lecture us in originalism and strict contextualism and states' rights and the unitary executive theory. And then at the end of the day, they hoist up a stupider version of Kim Jong-un here in the United States, who's covering up a child sex trafficking ring and who has very, very serious allegations being leveled against him in those files that seem to have never been investigated. South Korea did what it needed to do. Brazil did what it needed to do. In the UK, they're doing what they need to do when it comes to Andrew. You have commissions being set up and everywhere from Poland to you name it. But here in the United States, you heard from Trump. He goes, I've been vindicated. I'm a vindicated. Dude, you are an idiot. You are a felon. Like, why do we listen to this guy? I mean, take a step back. Like, this guy is a felon. He's been adjudicated to be a felon. He is a fraud. He's been adjudicated to be a fraud. He's a sexual predator by the courts. Not me being hyperbolic. A federal civil jury heard the case. where Trump was too scared to testify. Could have testified. Tough guy. Could have testified. Tough guy. You didn't. And he was found civilly liable in a unanimous jury. And you know what Trump's response was? At least the jury didn't make a finding that it was his penis. That was Trump's actual response to a verdict finding him civilly liable of sexual assault. But it wasn't his penis, it was his finger. Right? And you go, well, Ben, what are you talking about? Well, Trump sued George Stephanopoulos because George Stephanopoulos said that it was rape. And Donald Trump said that's defamation because under the New York technical statute, but New York since closed this loophole, but they changed it. In New York, they've said that, well, a sexual assault is a finger and a rape is genitals or something like that. So the jury said we didn't necessarily know whether it was based on the testimony. I'm not trying to get graphic here. I just want to let you know what the facts are. The jury said we didn't really know if it was a penis or a finger, but there was a sexual assault that took place at the Bergdorf Goodman, and that's why they found that Trump was civilly liable, and they just made that finding. And Trump took that as though that was a win and then sued Stephanopoulos. And you want to know how sick our country is? Then ABC paid Trump basically a quid pro quo bribe, in my opinion, which is giving you my opinion, masquerading as a settlement based on that allegation. Could you imagine if Donald Trump actually had to sit for a deposition and be asked, so you were found liable for sexual assault, were you not? And you're saying your reputation has been harmed because your argument is that it was. So, I mean, you see the sickness that's in the White House. And how is this even being normalized? How is this even being talked about without making you want to freaking vomit? When I do these shows sometimes, it's sometimes, just so you know, I like, because this stuff, and what at least is good right now is that you all get it. And I think the country is getting it. And I think this message is breaking through. I do. You can call me, oh, you're just being an eternal optimist and blah, 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 blah. I actually think the message is getting through, not to everybody, but I think people are waking up. I think people are saying, what the hell is this? It shocks me that there are some people who don't see it. I don't get it. I try my best to put myself in as many shoes as I can to understand and try to be empathetic and try to understand what could it be? But right now, February 19th, 2026, with all that's gone down from masks, agents terrorizing people in the streets to the don't tread on me crowd. You like that? Or the Trump regime saying people can't conceal carry? You deserve to die if you show up at a protest with a concealed carry permit. You deserve to die. The Second Amendment, folks, you like that? Or maybe you just like what you really like is, let's just face it. You want a Kim Jong-un. You want your own version of that. You don't like democracy. It's easier for you to be, or you like being in this dystopian reality, hate-fueled show where you feel for now comfortable that somebody acknowledging your hate and accepting your hate of others is the most important thing to you that's out there, right? I mean, that's the predominant factor. Forget Trump shooting somebody in Fifth Avenue. What he's doing is way worse. And it's not in Fifth Avenue. It's across this country. All right, we're going to take our first and only quick break of the show. Do you see how close we are to 6 million subscribers, everybody? Like, we're right there. We're right there at 6 million subscribers. So you may think that you're subscribed. Double check. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. I want to get to 6 million this week. Let's try to do that. We'll take our first and only quick break of the store.MeidasTouch.com. Check out the merch. I got the brother show tonight. I do a show with my brothers, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Check that out. Looking forward to that. All right. First quick break. We'll be right back.
2026's mantra, don't settle for number two, even when you're going number two. Bidets put your well-being first, no matter what weird chapter of self-improvement you might be going through. Tushy Bidet is incredible, and I just can't gatekeep this any longer. Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. 99% of people who wash with Tushy warm water bidets feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Tushy e-bidets instantly modernize your daily routine and bathroom with a heated seat, adjustable water temperature, and a powerful yet gentle dryer. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. E-bidets only require an outlet. This is a daily decadence with practical benefits. Over half of the people who wash with Tushy soothe their hemorrhoids, and 9 out of 10 people reduce itching and discomfort. Instead of wiping endlessly with toilet paper, Tushy pristinely removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient: fresh water. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. Number 2 is Tushy's thing. Go take care of number 1. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code MeidasTouch at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code MeidasTouch.
You know what's easier than fixing a problem? Not having the problem in the first place. Your liver is one of those organs that you don't think about until you have to. Supporting it daily is one of those small things that can make a huge difference in how you feel overall, and that's where Dose comes in. Dose for your liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement. This isn't just another capsule or powder. Dose is a liquid supplement. It's taken in a daily 2-ounce shot, and it tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice. Here's why it matters. Your liver is your body's filter. It processes everything you consume and handles over 500 plus daily functions: energy production, digestion, fat metabolism, vitamin storage. When your liver is overworked, you feel it. Dose helps cleanse the liver of unwanted stressors that may be slowing your liver down, and it promotes daily liver function so that your liver can do its job. 0 sugar, 0 junk, 0 calories. And when you take Dose daily, you're going to reduce sluggishness, get rid of those midday crashes, support your metabolism, and even aid your daily digestion. Plus, this is the real deal. There are 2 double-blind placebo-controlled studies showing Dose's positive impact on liver enzyme levels. Are you ready to give your liver the support it deserves? Head to dosedaily.co/Meidas or enter Meidas to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Let's do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/Meidas, MEIDAS, for 35% off your first month subscription.
Welcome back to Ben on Breaking News. I'm Ben. This is Breaking News. Shout out to Brett and Jordy for those great ad reads. Thank you to our sponsors who make this show possible. Discount codes are in the description below. Check them out. We spend a long time working through those, working on those sponsors to make sure that it's people we like to work with, and giving you some great discounts. So let's also talk more about Donald Trump's flight. He's heading to Rome, Georgia right now. Why is he going there? That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's congressional district. He's obsessed. I think he thinks that this is a way to give Marjorie Taylor Greene the middle finger. She's not running anymore. And in my view, it just brings more attention to his Epstein cover-up, because the only reason that Marjorie Taylor Greene was basically pushed out of politics and the party was that she objected to Donald Trump covering up a child sex trafficking ring, and that was not MAGA of her. For you to be MAGA, you must cover up child sex trafficking rings. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said, well, I guess I'm not MAGA anymore, because while I agree with MAGA on 98% of the things, covering up child sex trafficking is a pretty big deal. I'm not going to go along with that. And Donald Trump said, but you're going to hurt my friends. And she goes, well, okay, if they're pedos, then they can be hurt. That's okay then. And then Trump said, well, get the hell out. And she said, yeah. So that's why Trump's going to Rome, Georgia right now. He's aboard Air Force One. He was leaving from that peace board thing that he was doing. Peace board. So stupid. It says this board, he calls it the Board of Peace, that like no democracies are a part of. It's like Pakistan, and it's like Bahrain and Belarus and Qatar, countries like that. They showed up. Viktor Orban was there from Hungary, showed up. Orban was also like, why am I the only leader from the European Union that's actually here? Because that's kind of the answer, because this is not actually a peace board. It is a way that Donald Trump can hang out with authoritarians. And that's what he wants to do. And it's weird. It's utterly humiliating for the United States. But, this whole guy is humiliating for the United States every day, just humiliate. If you don't think this is humiliating, you have no shame. At the end of the day, this is as humiliating as it gets. Anyway, here's Donald Trump aboard Air Force One. He's asked a question by Ducey from Fox about Barack Obama saying aliens are real. And here was what Donald Trump's response was to that. Here, play this clip.
I would love to have China and Russia. They've been invited. Yeah.
Something that got a lot
You
of
need both. You need all persuasions. No discrimination.
something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to. So if you want to make an announcement,
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals. What else?
Based on what you've been told, what do you think happened to?
He's in a lot of trouble. I mean, this guy is a demented lunatic. He's in a lot of trouble for saying something about aliens. I mean, like, you do realize that, like, the person that we're watching there is not normal. Like, this is not a normal human. This is not normal behavior. And anybody who acts like this is like just a grown-up or like an adult. Like this is really just utterly demented human being. I don't know how else to describe what I witness over there. He's not speaking in sentences, slurring his words, obsessed with Obama, randomly flying to Rome, Georgia. Before I showed you in the first half of the show, I'm the expert on these things, and I feel bad for the royal family that Andrew got arrested. That's who you feel bad for, not the survivors. Well, here was Donald Trump at that Board of Peace meeting this morning, where Donald Trump bangs a small golden gavel with YMCA playing in the background. Let's play this clip.
Ready?
So strange. You had Viktor Orban there from Hungary, noting that no one else from Europe is there. Yeah, it's kind of the point. Here, play this clip.
Dear Mr. President, Excellencies, dear colleagues, first of all, let me express the appreciation of the Hungarian people to President Trump for his tireless peace efforts all around the world. Hungary is the only country to be represented here on the highest level among the founding members from the European Union. I represent a country.
Next to him, you have Javier Milei, who's Donald Trump's MAGA puppet in Argentina. The United States gave Argentina $40 billion in a bailout to help prop up Javier Milei in their elections. Donald Trump is trying to now do something similar with Orban. He had Rubio show up in Hungary. Orban is trailing significantly in the polls in Hungary. So Orban's been calling in his friends at the AfD in Germany. That's like the MAGA party there, their far-right extremist party there. Putin's team came in to Hungary. Trump sent Rubio there. And basically the message from Rubio was, if you want America to help you, Hungary, you need to vote for Orban. Otherwise, America won't help you. But the reality is that, at this point, Hungary can choose. You want to be a Soviet country. You want to be in Putin world, which is basically Putin United States, Belarus, North Korea. The delusional aspect of Trump, though, too, is that like Trump's not even in that crew. Like Trump loves Putin, but the actual alliance is Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, and they bring in, some other BRICS nations. And so so America, United States, is close to going to war with Iran. At the same time, Donald Trump is trying to help Putin, and Iran is sending their Shahid drones to help Putin. You have Hungary giving its oil or getting all of its oil from Russia, while Donald Trump attacks the European Union, saying that they get their oil from Russia, when it's Hungary that is the main country that gets its oil from Russia, especially from the European Union. Like, our foreign policy is so disjointed and nonsensical right now. And like, literally, we just alienate everybody, and it's just Donald Trump sucking up to Putin. And then you have all these other countries that are recognizing that all you have to do is give Trump flattery, and you could basically outmaneuver him, and you could get him to do things for you. It's weird. It's weird. Here Donald Trump is saying that, where is President Milei? I endorse him. I endorse Orban. This is from that same meeting. Let's play it.
But we're honored to be joined today by Prime Minister Rama of Albania. Where is President Milei? You're another one, I'll tell you. Where is President Milei? I endorsed him. I'm not supposed to be endorsing people, but when I like people, I've had a very good record of endorsing candidates within the United States. But now I endorse foreign leaders, including Viktor Orban, who's here, and others. And I endorse this gentleman, Milei. He was a little behind in the polls. He ended up winning in a landslide. I just endorsed the Prime Minister of Japan. She was in a tight race, but was probably going to win. And she won in the largest number in the history of Japan. So she likes me a lot. But it was an honor, and you're doing good. Oh, look, they're sitting right next, Victor. But ultimately, I think I'm going to end up endorsing. Hey, look, as long as it works, it's okay with me. But the endorsement seems to be working in foreign countries, too, so that's good. But nice to have you both, Victor. Nice to have you both. Very proud of you. The Prime Minister.
Then while Donald Trump was there, he was talking about the United Nations and how he's obsessed with that the escalator turned off when he was at the United Nations several months ago. He's like obsessed with that, and the teleprompter didn't work. And he has this weird story also that Melania saved him when the escalator was shut off, and he grabbed onto her, and otherwise he would have fallen. And so she saved him. So first, let me show you the clip of him whining. Let's play it.
You're going to push Zelensky for peace, President Trump.
President Trump.
Now, for mostly any human being, like that interaction, I'm just trying to think about like something that happened to me today. Like what happened to me today. I was I took my 16-month-old to a bubbleologist at the local library. Who was here at a bubbleologist library, and they were playing with bubbles. And so I show up to the library, and it's packed. And so I had to park nearby at a shopping center and then walk over, right? Like, that's not an interaction that I'll be shit. Imagine 6 months from now, you saw me on the show, and I was like, and I went to see a bubbleologist, and they told me there would be parking, and I show up, and not only is there no parking, but I look, and I'm about to crash my car. And then my wife saves me, and she's like, honey, you got to hold on. What the hell's... Imagine like I just talked about that. I mean, The interaction that he's still talking about was what you just saw right there. And that's what he's whining about. Like, again, this is like a demented individual. This is a demented individual. Like a thing happened to you in the day. Get over it. Get over it. And just so you can see, here's what he was saying while he was at this Board of Peace meeting in D.C. Here's how he described what went down at the United Nations. Here, play this clip.
In my last speech, they did turn off my teleprompter. I got up there. My teleprompter didn't work. I'm sitting in front of all of you people and more. I had no teleprompter. I knew I was in trouble because I'm walking up. You know, the teleprompters are over here. I had the most beautiful speech ready. I was all set to knock them dead. First, I had an escalator that stopped. You know that. It's going up. Boom. It's lucky my movie star first lady was in front of me because I put my hand on a certain part of her body and I was able to stop my fall. Otherwise, because she had no trouble. I said, boy, that was a very sharp stop, Johnny. So I said, that was strange. I've been on a lot of escalators. It's never happened before. Usually it stops very slowly. This was just boom. But our first lady was right in the proper location for me. I'm waving to people, and she was holding on a little tighter. She knew what was happening.
What are you? What are they even talking about? What are they even talking about? Sometimes I watch that stuff and I'm just like, really, MAGA? You like this? This is what you're into right now. It's so bizarre. I'll just read this for you. Obviously countries like Canada, the UK, every European Union country isn't there. This latest poll from Politico shows that only about 1 in 3 Canadians still view the United States as an ally. Frankly, I don't know who those 1 in 3 are. If you ask Canadians in a poll who's the biggest threat, the United States or Russia, overwhelmingly 2-1 people in Canada view the United States as a much bigger threat to them than Russia. 48% of Canadians surveyed say the US is the biggest threat. 29% say Russia. 10% say China. I mean, I think that's fairly accurate right there in terms of what's going on. And then in terms of kind of MAGA in general, as I said, this whole movement is a fraud. This whole thing is a fugazi. The way Trump's been a fraud his entire life, and he attracts kind of just fraudulent people and grifter people. I just found this interesting today as well. You have the House Committee on Agriculture announces the following. Thank you, President Trump, for acknowledging the importance of glyphosate-based herbicides in American agriculture. This is a vital step forward in ensuring domestic supply of this critical crop input remains available for our producers. So one of the main things that RFK pretended that he cared about and kind of Maha, make America healthy again and all of these things was these pesticides in crops, right? I mean, RFK said back in June of 2024, the herbicide glyphosate is one of the likely culprits in America's chronic disease epidemic, much more widely used here than in Europe. Shockingly, much of our exposure comes from its uses in wheat, not as a herbicide, from where it goes straight into our bodies. My U.S. Department of Agriculture will ban that practice. You may have all seen those lawsuits that were filed against the companies that Roundup that made these products, and a lot of medical literature that these products, that this glyphosate causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they were bankrupted the company that made Roundup, and now the announcement, Trump makes an executive order basically endorsing and protecting glyphosate-based products. You have some MAGA people out there who are basically saying, I did not vote for this Donald Trump. This is a failure to protect the American people and a continuation on the attack of American health. More gaslighting, Secretary Kennedy. This makes so much of what you've both been saying an outright lie. A lot of us have stood by you through some insane stuff. This is worth revolting over. Protect phosphate for defense reasons. Sure, I buy it. The executive order should have stopped there. This needs to be talked about. And the person tagged me over at MeidasTouch. I talk about this every day, Matthew. I agree. I agree with you. I mean, I agree. But all I can say, like when you said over here, a lot of us have stood by both of you through some insane stuff. Why? Like why do you stand by them through some insane stuff? I mean, I truly mean it. Okay, maybe the first insane thing, I get it. But after multiple insane things, why do you stand by them? I don't understand it. And as I've been saying, there's so many issues right now that, again, I don't believe has a political dimension to them. I mean, if people are like, well, why didn't Biden's DOJ, go after Epstein? Well, then that was a massive failure. I'm not defending that. I mean, Merrick Garland should have done a lot more prosecutions than he did. Merrick Garland failed. The cover up of the Epstein files spans decades and decades and decades, and there's massive failure and massive blame going around. I can tell you when Donald Trump's out there saying he feels bad for Andrew and the royal family and not the survivors, when Pam Bondi is up there, though, testifying and says the Dow's over 50,000 and that's why I'm not going to look at it. And you are from Culver City. And I could tell you, I've never seen anything so embarrassing and humiliating ever from the Department of Justice before. I could tell you that that's, horrible. The fact that they leaked the names of survivors and gave personal identifying information and protected the identity of the Epstein class in these files. I'm outraged at that. What you have to realize, Matthew, is that the Epstein class wants to divide everybody else into viewing certain things as political issues. And what I'm here to tell you is that a lot of these issues are not political issues. A lot of America view lots of issues as 70-30 types of issues. And when you are talking about child sex trafficking cover-ups, we should all be against that. When it comes to data centers being built in your communities that are draining your energy supply and causing the price of your energy bills to skyrocket, and unregulated AI replacing workers, we should all be against that. Now, we could recognize that there are some uses for AI that are beneficial and that could help humanity, but there should be some common sense regulations and safeguards around it. Don't we all think that? Can't we agree on that? I saw in protests and people being arrested at town halls yesterday in Oklahoma protesting data centers in their community, which corporate news is not covering at all. We talk about AI data centers all the time here on the MeidasTouch network. My view as well, Matthew, is that we need to be very careful about the types of chemicals that are going into our crops and that are going into our food supply. And things like glyphosate and stuff like that, that can potentially cause cancer. That's why we have regulations, safety regulations, to which people like Trump go, oh, these bureaucratic regulations. Sometimes sometimes the regulations may go too far, but there's a reason why we have a lot of regulations and agencies and why we have a human experience, a lived experience to do regulations. Oftentimes it's to protect you and to us and to protect others from harms, not to encourage these types of harms. There's a reason. I mean, you remember the Aaron Brockovich movie, right? When they uncover, what was taking place in the community and how people are getting cancer and dying and things like we should be able to agree on certain things like this. I just think there are so many countless other issues. Like, I don't know what you feel, Matthew, but I don't think it's I don't feel like it should be demeaned or be viewed as like, you're a socialist in a bad way. If we all agree that we should all have good health care, like, don't you agree that health care is a human right? I do. And if we agree that Obamacare has flaws, shouldn't we work to fix it versus just have a ranting lunatic like Donald Trump out there saying, I've done most favored nations. I've done, the prices are lower. Everything's great. When we all know that there are tens of millions of Americans now who have been kicked off their Affordable Care Act plan who can't afford it. And they're just hoping they don't get sick. Or maybe they're dying quietly and we don't even know about it because they didn't go get a preventative care appointment because they can't afford it right now. Like, aren't these issues that we should all be able to rally around and recognize that what this is really about is the Epstein class that's attacking us, and that that's actually what's happening here? You know, I have this clip as well. You have, isn't this so revealing? You have Dan Bongino, former number 2 at the FBI, and Kash Patel, who's currently the FBI director right now. So you have the number 1 and the former number 2 at the FBI. They do a show together. They're doing a podcast together, okay? And obviously the people want to know about the Epstein file. Like, what else do you think when you put these two people on together that we want to hear about? But instead, they whine and they say how difficult, that their job has such difficult decisions and things are so hard for them, and that it's so hard for them to do, and that Trump has to make stage 11 decisions, whatever the hell that even means, and he's so brave for having to make decisions. Like, don't we agree, Matthew, whether, like, when you say you stood by Trump on insane, like, don't we agree that even like me playing this clip that I'm about to play is insane enough that that should end the discourse right there? Here, play this clip.
Everything's a level 10 decision, Cash. A level 10 meaning there's a pardon the language, but a shitty decision and a shittier one. Because if it was if there was a good decision to be made, someone else made it. And then when those decisions, that's every day. I know you know this because I would knock on your door and you'd be like, what now? And I'd be like, here we go again. Like something else will come up. But I just want to put into perspective for folks out there, when that decision can't even be made by me, it goes to you. When it doesn't go to you, it goes like to the president's desk. He's dealing with like level 11 decisions. And that's the thing in DC. That's why the batting average isn't always going to be 1,000.
Like, what is that? Or Matthew, remember before the latest batch of Epstein documents were released and Trump was asked about Epstein, and watch Howard Lutnick in the background right here. Here, play this clip.
Respond to the Epstein situation. Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but
About how to respond to the Epstein situation.
I don't know. I could ask you that question.
Right. Lutnick claimed he only met Epstein once in 2005, and then it turns out he's on the island with his children. And then Trump and the regime say that's fine. And you saw him there. Because they think you're stupid. That's really what it boils down to. And Matthew, they believe these stupid people have stood by our sides all the time as we laughed in your face. That's what they think about you. And I just want to tell you that's what you saw there with Lutnick. That's what they're saying to you behind your back. That's what they think about all of their supporters. They're stupid. They're going to support us. They hate you. They actually hate you. And they want to steal from you, and they want to take from you. That's who they are. And I want anybody to know still, even though I don't understand how you could support these people. I don't get it. But I will say this on February 19th. I know is someone saying who's Matthew? Matthew is the commentator, the person who wrote the comment. Is the guy named Matthew? Do we have someone's like, who you keep? See, this is Matthew. I'm not, just so you all know, I'm not talking to an imaginary friend named Matthew. Just so you know. Matthew tagged me in this post. So I don't have an imaginary friend named Matthew, just so everybody knows. Okay. And I want you to think because people like, you never sleep. So did you invent an imaginary friend? That's it. I want you to know Matthew and all the Matthews out there. Now's the time to make the break. And I don't say make the break and become a Democrat. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying free your mind from this poison of MAGA and step into a world of truth. And at the MeidasTouch Network, to me, beyond this political party and that political party and this or that, to me, I think that this is a place where truth prevails, where we bring receipts, where we show the clips, where we let people know, here's what's happening right now. And people can judge for themselves. Ultimately, for me, that makes me not want to be supportive of the Republican Party and MAGA right now because they completely don't align with the truth and my values and principles. But if one day another party, the Democrats or someone else, doesn't align, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I'm on this team or that team. I'm on team truth. I'm on team facts. I'm on team receipts. I'm on team building bridges internationally to support democracy and truth globally. That's where I'm at. And I hope you join me, Matthew, and others as well. So thanks everybody for watching. We're grateful for you. We appreciate you. Hit subscribe. Look how close we are to 6 million subscribers. Let's try to get there this week. Oh, and by the way, you probably know that we are leading the boycott against Donald Trump's State of the Union. We're distributing the boycott, I should say, on our YouTube platform. So for State of the Union. So we have tons of senators and members of Congress. They're going to be with MeidasTouch and not in the Capitol building. We have a permit. We're right outside the Capitol building, not inside the Capitol building, but I think it's pretty cool and pretty freaking historically. I'm not sure this has happened in history before where you're going to have this size boycott. And where's everybody going? The MeidasTouch stage with Move On. So hat tip to Move On, who we're doing that with. They're great partners, and hat tip to all of the senators and members of Congress who are boycotting. And, you should reach out to your member of Congress and tell them to boycott as well and not show up and to join the MeidasTouch as well. All right. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. I somehow released a video while I was recording this because I'm not sure if you knew this. I actually have a clone and I'm on here and I did a video and we're good right before I went live. The reason I was like 6 minutes late to this live is I did another video right before that had to go out. So that video right now, if you go to the main YouTube channel, you can watch the video that I made that launched at 2. So go and check that out. Subscribe to the MeidasTouch on audio as well, wherever you get audio podcasts. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Shout out Meidas Mighty. We appreciate you.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.